The pristine white envelope trembled in my hands as I stared at the return address, a name I hadn't seen in decades. My mother-in-law's voice droned on about proper family values in the background, but all I could focus on was the elegant script that read Jolie Thornton. I'm Cadence, and until that moment I thought I knew exactly how this dinner would go. I'd been rehearsing my adoption pitch for weeks, determined to finally make my dream of motherhood come true. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. And that's why maintaining our family's reputation is paramount, Angelina concluded, dabbing her mouth with a cloth napkin. Her perfectly coiffed silver hair caught the light of the chandelier, making her look more regal than a simple family dinner warranted. Mother, my husband Beckett interjected, squeezing my hand under the table. Cadence and I have something we'd like to discuss. My heart raced. This was it. I cleared my throat. We've been thinking about adoption. The crystal wine glass in Angelina's hand froze halfway to her lips. Adoption? She pronounced the word as if it were poisonous. Yes, I pressed on, my voice stronger than I felt. There are so many children who need loving homes, and we— Absolutely not. Angelina's tone could have frozen hell itself. The Norris family has maintained a pure bloodline for generations. We don't take in strays. Beckett's grip on my hand tightened. Mother, times have changed. Adoption is a scandal waiting to happen, she cut him off. What will people think? What will they say at the country club? Have you considered that? I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. With all due respect, Angelina, I don't give a damn what people at the country club think. Sit down, she hissed. We're not finished. Actually, we are. I grabbed my purse and the mysterious envelope. Beckett, I'll see you at home. The drive to Ruby's apartment was a blur. My best friend opened her door, took one look at my face, and pulled me into a hug. That bad, huh? She led me to her cozy living room, already reaching for the emergency wine stash. Worse. I collapsed onto her worn leather couch. She called potential adoptees strays, Ruby, like they're unwanted animals. Ruby handed me a generous pour of red. That woman is toxic. What's that envelope you're clutching like a lifeline? I'd almost forgotten about it. It came today. It's from someone named Jolie Thornton. The return address is from my mother's hometown. Well, Ruby perched on the arm of the couch. Open it! My hands shook as I broke the seal. The letter inside was handwritten, the paper expensive. Dear Cadence, I read aloud. You don't know me, but I'm your mother's sister, your aunt. I've spent years trying to reconnect with the family after a falling out before you were born. I know this may come as a shock, but I'm dying. And there are things you need to know, things about our family that could change everything. If you're willing to hear me out, please come to the address below. Time is of the essence. Love, Aunt Jolie. Ruby whistled low. Holy shit. My mom never mentioned having a sister. I stared at the letter, my mind racing. Why would she keep this from me? More importantly, Ruby said, refilling my glass, what secrets could be so important that a dying woman needs to tell you in person? My phone buzzed. Another message from Beckett apologizing for his mother's behavior. I ignored it. You know what? I stood up, suddenly energized. I'm going, this week. I need to know what Jolie has to say. Are you sure? Ruby's concern was evident. What about Beckett? What about the adoption plans? I thought about Angelina's cruel words, about the years of subtle manipulation and control, about how she'd systematically crushed every dream that didn't fit her perfect family image. The adoption plans aren't going anywhere, I said firmly, but something tells me this could change everything. Maybe it's time someone challenged Angelina's iron grip on this family. Ruby raised her glass. To whatever secrets Aunt Jolie has in store, may they be juicy enough to give that old bat a heart attack. I clinked my glass against hers, but my mind was already racing ahead. Whatever Jolie had to tell me, one thing was certain. I was done letting Angelina Norris dictate my life. And if this mysterious aunt had information that could help me break free from her control, well, that would be karma at its finest. Little did I know, that letter would set in motion events that would shatter the Norris family's perfect facade forever, and give me exactly the ammunition I needed to claim the life I'd always dreamed of. The Victorian mansion loomed before me, its weathered brick facade telling stories of decades past. I double-checked the address from Jolie's letter, took a deep breath, and pressed the doorbell. Beckett's calls had gone unanswered during my 3-hour drive. I couldn't deal with his torn loyalties right now. A tall woman with silver-streaked auburn hair opened the door. Despite her obvious illness, her eyes sparkled with the same green shade as mine. "Cadence," she breathed, her face lighting up. "You look just like your mother did at your age." "Aunt Jolie?" My voice cracked slightly. She pulled me into a warm embrace that felt nothing like Angelina's stiff, formal hugs. "Come in, sweetheart. We have so much to talk about." The interior was a beautiful mix of antiques and modern comfort. Jolie led me to a sunny sitting room where tea was already laid out. "I've been watching you from afar," she said, pouring tea into delicate cups. "Social media is quite useful for keeping tabs on family." "Why didn't my mother ever mention you?" Jolie's hands trembled slightly as she set down the teapot. "Because I was the family scandal. I got pregnant at 16, refused to give up my baby for adoption. Your grandparents wanted to send me away, preserve the family image." She laughed bitterly. "Sound familiar?" My throat tightened. Exactly like Angelina. Some patterns repeat themselves, don't they? Jolie reached for a photo album. "This is my daughter, Sarah. She died in a car accident 10 years ago, along with her husband." "I'm so sorry," I whispered, studying the photo of a smiling young woman. "Life is too short to let others dictate your happiness, Cadence." Jolie's voice grew stronger. "I fought for my choices, lost my family, but I never regretted it. I built a successful business, raised a beautiful daughter, lived life on my terms." "What happened with Mom?" "She chose the family's side. Reputation over love, another pattern you might recognize." Jolie's eyes met mine. "But that's not why I called you here." She stood, walking to an antique desk. "I'm dying, Cadence. Pancreatic cancer. 3 months, maybe less." She pulled out a thick envelope. "This is my will. I'm leaving everything to you." I nearly dropped my teacup. "What? But we've just met." "You're my only living relative who understands what it's like to fight against family tyranny. My estate is worth considerable money, Cadence. Enough to give you complete independence from the Norris family's influence." My phone buzzed again. Angelina this time. I silenced it. "There's more," Jolie continued. "I have documentation of some rather unsavory business dealings involving the Norris family's precious reputation. Insurance, should you need it." "I can't accept this," I protested. "It's too much." Jolie sat beside me, taking my hands in hers. "When Sarah died, I lost my purpose. But watching you struggle against the same oppression I faced, it gave me a new one. Use this inheritance to build the family you dream of. Don't let Angelina do to you what my parents did to me." Tears welled in my eyes. I don't know what to say. "Say you'll fight. Say you'll live life on your terms." Her grip tightened. "My lawyer, George, will contact you soon. There's one condition to the inheritance, though." "What's that?" A mischievous smile crossed her face. "You have to promise to send me a photo of Angelina's face when she realizes she's lost control." I couldn't help but laugh through my tears. "I think I can manage that." We spent the next few hours sharing stories, looking at photos, bridging the decades of separation. As the sun began to set, Jolie walked me to the door. "Remember, Cadence, family isn't about blood or reputation. It's about love, pure and simple." I hugged her tightly, memorizing the feeling of finally having someone truly in my corner. "I'll come back soon." "Don't wait too long," she said softly. "Time isn't on my side." Driving home, my mind raced with possibilities. The inheritance could change everything. Fund the adoption, give us independence from Angelina's financial control. But the real gift was knowing I wasn't alone in this fight. My phone rang. Beckett again. This time I answered. "Where have you been?" he demanded. "Mother's furious." I smiled, thinking of Jolie's strength, her defiance, her legacy. Tell her I'm done playing by her rules. Things are about to change, Beckett. You can either stand with me or stand with her, but I'm done compromising. The silence on his end spoke volumes. Finally, he sighed. What happened today? I found someone who showed me what real family means, I replied, and I'm about to shake up Angelina's perfect world in ways she never saw coming. The doorbell rang exactly at 9 a.m. George Pearson stood on my doorstep, briefcase in hand, looking every bit the distinguished lawyer in his tailored suit. Mrs. Norris? He extended his hand. I'm here regarding Jolie Thornton's estate. Please call me Cadence. I led him to the living room, grateful Beckett was at work. Would you like coffee? No, thank you. Time is of the essence. He opened his briefcase, spreading documents across our coffee table. As you know, Jolie intends to leave you her entire estate. The estimated value is just over $12 million. I nearly choked on my coffee. $12 million? Her tech company's sale was quite profitable. George adjusted his glasses. However, there's a condition that might complicate things. A knock at the door interrupted us. My heart sank as I heard Angelina's voice through the door. Cadence? Your car's here. I know you're home. Just a moment. I turned to George, panicked. That's my mother-in-law. She can't know about this. George quickly gathered the papers. Perhaps I should... The door opened. Of course Angelina had a spare key. Really, Cadence, it's rude to keep people waiting. She strode in, freezing at the sight of George. Oh, I wasn't aware you had company. Mrs. Norris, I said through gritted teeth, this is a private meeting. Nonsense, I'm family. She settled into an armchair like a queen on her throne. And who might you be, sir? George glanced at me, then straightened his tie. I'm a lawyer representing a family member of Cadence's. Angelina's perfectly plucked eyebrows rose. Oh? What family member would that be? That's confidential, I snapped. Everything involving this family concerns me, Angelina declared. As the matriarch? You're not my matriarch. The words burst out before I could stop them. This has nothing to do with the Norris family. George cleared his throat. Perhaps we should reschedule. No, I said firmly. Mrs. Norris was just leaving. Angelina's face hardened. I most certainly was not. If there are legal matters involving this family. The condition, George interrupted, looking directly at me, requires you to legally change your last name back to Wilkinson within 30 days of accepting the inheritance. The room went deadly silent. Angelina's face turned an interesting shade of purple. Absolutely not, she finally sputtered. The Norris name is a legacy. One I never asked for, I cut in, a strange calm settling over me. How soon can we start the paperwork, George? This is outrageous! Angelina stood, trembling with rage. I won't allow it. Beckett won't allow it. Beckett doesn't own me. I met her gaze steadily. And neither do you. You'll regret this, she hissed. Whatever money you're being offered, it's not worth destroying this family. George pulled out another document. There's more. The inheritance includes evidence of certain irregularities in the Norris Family Foundation's financial records. Angelina went pale. What did you say? Jolie was quite thorough in her research, I said sweetly. Something about misappropriated charity funds? You're bluffing, but her voice trembled slightly. Would you like to test that theory? I stood, walking to the door. I think we're done here, Angelina. I'll need your key back. Her hand shook as she removed the key from her ring. You have no idea what you're doing. Actually, for the first time in years, I do. I took the key. Give Beckett my love when you run to tell him all about this. After she left, George let out a low whistle. That was intense. Did you mean it? About the financial records? He nodded, pulling out a USB drive. Everything's here. Jolie wanted you to have ammunition. And the name change condition? Was that really her idea? No, George smiled slightly. That was a little improvisation on my part. Seemed like good timing. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in years. It was perfect timing, There is one actual condition, he said, becoming serious. Jolie wants you to use part of the inheritance to start a foundation, supporting adoptive families, helping children find homes. Tears pricked my eyes. She really thought of everything, didn't she? She believed in you. George packed up his briefcase. The ball's in your court now, Cadence. What's your next move? My phone buzzed. A text from Beckett. Mother just called. We need to talk. I showed George to the door, then typed my response. Yes, we do, and this time, you're going to listen. The game was changing. Angelina had always held all the cards, but now I had a royal flush and I wasn't afraid to play it. Let her rally the family against me, let her threaten and scheme. I had 12 million reasons not to care anymore. Beckett's car pulled into the driveway at midnight. I was waiting in the kitchen, 2 glasses of whiskey on the counter. He looked exhausted, his tie loose and hair disheveled. Mother kept me at the house for hours, he said, dropping into a chair. Telling me how you've lost your mind, how you're destroying our family name. I slid one of the whiskey glasses toward him. And what do you think? I think... He took a long sip. I think you'd better explain what's going on. I told him everything. About Jolie, the inheritance, the foundation plans. His expression shifted from skepticism to disbelief to something like hope. $12 million. He ran a hand through his hair. And the evidence about the foundation's finances? Want to see it? I pulled out my laptop, opening the files George had left. Your mother's been skimming from charity funds for years, using donations to pay for her country club memberships, spa retreats, shopping sprees. Beckett's face hardened as he scrolled through the documents. Jesus Christ! That's not all. I took a deep breath. I'm going through with the name change. His head snapped up. Cadence. No, listen to me. For 7 years, I've tried to fit into your mother's perfect world. I've smiled at her backhanded compliments, accepted her control, compromised my dreams. I'm done. This will destroy her. She's been destroying me! My voice cracked. Every time she blocked our adoption plans, every time she undermined my choices. Where were you? He flinched. I tried to balance. Balance? I laughed bitterly. There is no balance with your mother. It's her way or nothing. Well, now I have the power to choose nothing. Silence stretched between us. Finally, Beckett stood and walked to the window. Do you remember why we fell in love? He asked quietly. Because you said I was the first person who made you feel free? He turned back to me, eyes glistening. Mother's already called an emergency family meeting for tomorrow. She's rallying everyone against you. Let her. I stood, joining him at the window. But you need to decide right now, Beckett. Are you my husband or are you her son? Because I can't fight both of you. What about a compromise? No more compromises. I touched his cheek. I'm starting the adoption process next week. I'm changing my name. I'm launching a foundation that will help families like us. The only question is whether you'll be by my side or in my way. His phone buzzed. Another text from Angelina. He silenced it without looking. She'll never forgive this, he whispered. I can live with that. Can you? He pulled me into his arms, holding me tight. Tell me about your plans for the foundation. Relief flooded through me. Really? Really. He kissed my forehead. Maybe it's time someone stood up to her, but we need to be smart about this. We spent the next few hours strategizing. Beckett knew his mother's tactics, her pressure points, her weaknesses. By dawn, we had a plan. She'll try to turn my siblings against us first, he said, yawning. Marcus and Diana always follow her lead. Let them. I showed him the adoption agency website I'd bookmarked. Look at these children, Beckett. This is what we're fighting for. His expression softened as he scrolled through the profiles. This little girl, she has your smile. Her name is Sophie. I'd been studying her profile for weeks. She's 6, loves art and dogs, and she's been in the system since she was 3. Beckett's phone buzzed again, Diana this time. It's starting. Mother's told them you're having a mental breakdown, threatening to expose family secrets. Well, She's half right, I grinned. I am threatening to expose secrets, but I'm perfectly sane. He laughed, really laughed, for the first time in days. You know what? Let's skip the family meeting tomorrow. Skip it? Your mother will have a meltdown. Exactly. He pulled me close. Let's go to the adoption agency instead. Start the paperwork. Show her we're serious. She'll find out. I'm counting on it. His eyes sparkled with newfound defiance. You're not the only one tired of living under her thumb. My phone chimed. A message from Ruby. Angelina's at the country club telling everyone you're having a nervous breakdown. Want me to start spreading some rumors of my own? I showed Beckett the message. He grinned. Tell her to focus on the charity fund mismanagement. Mother's reputation is built on her philanthropic image. As I typed the response, I felt lighter than I had in years. Tomorrow would bring chaos, but for the first time I wasn't facing it alone. Ready for war? I asked Beckett. He kissed me softly. Ready for freedom. The country club dining room crackled with tension. Angelina had orchestrated this casual family lunch perfectly. All of Beckett's siblings and their spouses, several prominent community members conveniently seated nearby. A perfect audience for her performance. So nice of you to finally join us, she said as Beckett and I sat down. We were beginning to worry after you missed the family meeting. We had an appointment, I replied sweetly. At the adoption agency. Diana, Beckett's younger sister, gasped. Marcus, his brother, nearly choked on his water. Still pursuing that unfortunate idea? Angelina's smile never wavered. Even after everything that's happened? You mean after I inherited $12 million? I took a sip of water, noting how heads turned at nearby tables. Yes, especially after that. Cadence. Marcus leaned forward. Mother tells us you're not well, that you're making rash decisions, like exposing how charity donations are being misused. I pulled out a folder. Would you like to see the records? That's enough. Angelina's voice rose slightly. This is neither the time nor place. Actually, it's perfect timing. I stood up, raising my voice just enough. Did you know that the Norris Family Foundation spent $60,000 last year on personal expenses? Spa treatments, shopping trips, country club memberships? The neighboring tables had gone silent. Angelina's face flushed red. Sit down, she hissed. No. I opened the folder. Would anyone like to see the receipts? I have copies for everyone. Diana grabbed my arm. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? I shook her off. Or am I finally exposing the truth about this family's perfect image? Beckett, Angelina snapped, control your wife. Beckett stood, placing his hand on my back. Actually, Mother, I've seen the evidence. Every receipt, every misappropriated dollar. It's all true. The silence in the room was deafening. Marcus's wife, Patricia, suddenly became very interested in her salad. Diana looked like she might faint. This is how you repay everything I've done for you? Angelina's voice trembled. I welcomed you into this family. You controlled me, I corrected. You blocked our adoption plans, manipulated Beckett, used charity money for personal gain, and now everyone knows. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. I checked it and smiled. Oh, look, the local newspaper just received an anonymous tip about financial irregularities at the foundation. Fascinating timing. Angelina stood so quickly, her chair toppled backward. You little... Careful, Mother, Beckett interrupted. Remember where we are. She looked around, finally noticing all the staring faces, the phones discreetly recording. Her carefully crafted image was crumbling in real time. We're leaving, she announced. Diana, Marcus, gather your things. Actually, Marcus said slowly, I think I'd like to see those records. Angelina froze. What? Me too, Diana whispered. If the foundation's money is being misused, our names are on that board too, Mother. I slid copies of the documents across the table. Page 3 is particularly interesting. The charitable donation that paid for your Christmas vacation to Aspen. This is a declaration of war, Angelina said, her voice ice cold. No, I replied. This is karma. Just then, an elderly woman approached our table. Angelina, Is it true? About the foundation money? Mrs. Patterson, Angelina plastered on a smile. This is all a misunderstanding. My late husband and I donated $50,000 last year, Mrs. Patterson continued, for the Children's Hospital wing, which paid for your new Mercedes, I added helpfully. The paperwork's right there on page 7. Mrs. Patterson's face hardened. I'll be speaking with my lawyer, Angelina, and the board. As she walked away, other diners began to stand, gathering their things, whispering. The perfect bubble of social status Angelina had built was bursting spectacularly. You've ruined everything, she spat at me. No, you did that yourself. I gathered my purse. By the way, we're approved for adoption. Sophie moves in next month. You're not welcome to visit. Beckett! It was her last desperate play. You can't allow this. Watch me. He took my hand. Diana, Marcus, family dinner at our place next week? Without Mother? They both nodded, still staring at the documents. As we walked out, I heard Angelina's muffled sob behind us. Part of me felt guilty, but then I remembered every cruel word, every blocked dream, every manipulation. You okay? Beckett squeezed my hand. Better than okay. I checked my phone. Ruby had already posted the story on social media. It was going viral. I think it's time to visit Jolie again. Show her the photos she asked for. Beckett laughed. Think she'll like the one of Mother knocking over her chair? I think she'll frame it. Behind us, the country club buzzed with scandal, but ahead lay freedom, family, and finally, justice. Jolie's laugh echoed through her hospital room as she flipped through the photos on my phone. Oh, that face! I wish I could have been there. She looked frailer than before, her hospital gown hanging loose on her thin frame, but her eyes still sparkled with mischief. The foundation board meets tomorrow, I told her, adjusting her pillows. They're voting on whether to remove Angelina as chairperson. And the adoption? I pulled out my phone, showing her Sophie's picture. We meet her next week. The home study is complete and... A commotion in the hallway cut me off. Angelina's voice carried through the door. I don't care about visiting hours. I demand to see her. Jolie's face lit up. Finally! I was wondering when she'd track me down. The door burst open. Angelina stood there, designer handbag clutched like a shield, face tight with fury. You, she pointed at Jolie, you orchestrated this whole thing. Hello, Angelina. Jolie smiled serenely. My, you haven't aged well. Must be all that bitterness. You had no right to interfere with my family. Your family? Jolie's voice sharpened. You mean the family you've terrorized? The one you've manipulated and controlled? I've protected them, Angelina snapped. Maintained our standards, our reputation. Your reputation? I stood up. You mean the one that's currently in shambles because you stole from charity? I did not steal. The board doesn't agree, I cut in. Neither does the IRS investigator who's reviewing the foundation's records. Angelina's face went white. What investigator? Oh, didn't I mention? Jolie coughed delicately. I may have sent copies of those financial records to a few interested parties. Amazing how quickly the government moves when millions in charitable donations are misappropriated. You vindictive... Careful, I warned. Remember who holds the power now. Angelina's shoulders sagged slightly. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. What do you want? She whispered. Want? Jolie laughed. Dear, we already have everything we want. Cadence has her freedom, her adoption plans, and soon she'll have my entire estate. The foundation will be restructured under new leadership. I hear Diana's quite eager to prove herself. And you? You'll be lucky to avoid prosecution. Unless, I added, you agree to our terms. Angelina's eyes narrowed. Terms? Step down from the foundation. Publicly support our adoption. Sign over your voting shares to Beckett. And most importantly, stay out of our lives. And if I refuse? I pulled out my phone, showing her the draft of a news article. Then this story about your creative accounting goes public tomorrow. I'm sure the country club will love reading about it over breakfast. The door opened again. Beckett walked in, followed by Diana and Marcus. Mother, Diana's voice was cold. The board wants your resignation letter by morning. Et tu, Diana? Angelina's laugh was hollow. We've seen the records, Marcus added. All of them. It's over, Mother. Jolie reached for my hand, squeezing it weakly. You see, Angelina, real family stands together, not out of fear or obligation, but out of love. You're dying, Angelina observed suddenly. This is your revenge, isn't it? Destroying what I built before you go? No, Jolie smiled. This is my gift to Cadence, the chance I never had, to break free, to choose love over appearance, to build a real family. Tears rolled down my cheeks as I hugged her. Her body felt so fragile, but her spirit remained unbreakable. The papers are drawn up, Beckett said quietly. All you have to do is sign, Mother. Angelina looked around the room, at her children's resolute faces, at Jolie's triumphant smile, at my unwavering stance. The fight seemed to drain from her body. Fine, she whispered. You win. No, Angelina, Jolie said softly. Love wins. It always does in the end. As Beckett led his mother out to sign the papers, I turned to Jolie. Thank you for everything. Just promise me one thing, she squeezed my hand. Promise me you'll love that little girl enough for both of us, and send me a picture when she comes home. I promise. I wiped my eyes. Though something tells me you'll be watching from somewhere. You bet I will be. She closed her eyes, tired but content. Now go. You have a family to build. Walking out of the hospital, I found Beckett waiting by the car. It's done, he said. Mother signed everything. How do you feel? He pulled me close. Free. Ready to be a dad. You? I showed him the latest text from the adoption agency, Sophie's smiling face attached. Ready to be a mom. Ready for our real life to begin. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Somewhere above, I imagined Jolie watching, smiling, knowing that her final act of rebellion had set us all free. The adoption agency's waiting room felt too small to contain all my nervous energy. Beckett paced back and forth while I fidgeted with the small teddy bear we'd brought for Sophie. Mrs. Wilkinson? The social worker, Amanda, appeared with a warm smile. She's ready to meet you. My new name still felt strange, but wonderful on my ears. Beckett squeezed my hand as we followed Amanda down the hallway. She's been drawing pictures all morning, Amanda said. Hasn't stopped talking about meeting her new parents. The door opened, and there she was. Sophie sat at a small table, dark curls falling around her face as she concentrated on her drawing. She looked up, and my heart stopped. Hi, she said shyly, those big brown eyes studying us carefully. Hi, Sophie. I knelt down to her level. I'm Cadence, and this is Beckett. We brought you something. I held out the teddy bear. She reached for it hesitantly, then hugged it tight. I drew you a picture, she announced, pushing her paper forward. It's all of us, and a dog. Can we get a dog? Beckett laughed, kneeling beside me. I think that could be arranged. The next hour flew by as Sophie showed us her favorite books, told us about her best friend at the group home, and asked approximately 1 million questions. Will I have my own room? Yes, we've already painted it purple. Amanda told us it's your favorite color. Can I bring my blanket? Of course. Will there be other kids to play with? Your cousins Diana and Marcus have children close to your age, Beckett answered. They can't wait to meet you. A knock at the door interrupted us. Amanda stepped in, followed by an unexpected visitor, Angelina. My body tensed. What are you doing here? Please, she held up her hands. I come in peace. Sophie looked between us, clutching her teddy bear tighter. Angelina's expression softened as she looked at the little girl. You must be Sophie, she said gently. I'm Beckett's mother, which means... Well, I suppose I'm your grandmother. Sophie studied her carefully. Do you like dogs? A surprised laugh escaped Angelina's lips. Yes, actually. I have 2 golden retrievers. Can I meet them? If your parents agree. Angelina met my eyes. I'd like to talk. Properly. Amanda sensed the tension. Sophie, why don't we go get your other drawings to show everyone? Once they left, Angelina sat down heavily. Jolie died last night. My heart clenched. What? I was there, she continued. She asked to see me. We talked for hours about everything, about how fear of scandal destroyed her family, just like it almost destroyed ours. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She made me promise to do better, to be better, so here I am. Mother, Beckett started. No, let me finish. She pulled out an envelope. This is for Sophie, a college fund, and this, she handed me another envelope, is the deed to our beach house, for your new family. I stared at the papers in shock. Angelina. I was wrong, she whispered, about everything. Watching you fight for your dreams, seeing how my own children turned against my controlling ways. Jolie helped me see what really matters. The door opened as Sophie bounded back in, arms full of drawings. She stopped short, looking at our tears. Why is everyone sad? We're not sad, sweetheart, I said, wiping my eyes. Sometimes grown-ups cry when they're happy, too. Oh. She considered this, then walked over to Angelina. Want to see my dog drawings? I'm really good at dogs. Angelina laughed through her tears. I'd love to. As Sophie climbed into her new grandmother's lap, spreading out her artwork, I felt the last pieces of resentment melt away. This was what Jolie had fought for. Not revenge, but redemption. The adoption will be finalized next week, Amanda said from the doorway, though I think it's clear this family is already complete. Family, Sophie tested the word. And I get to stay forever? Forever and ever, Beckett promised. And we can get a dog? Yes, Angelina chimed in. I know a wonderful breeder. Actually, I interrupted, pulling up a photo on my phone. There's a rescue puppy at the shelter who needs a home. Want to meet her? Sophie's eyes lit up. Now? If everyone wants to come? I looked at Angelina questioningly. She stood, straightening her designer dress. Well, I suppose my reputation can handle being seen at a shelter, especially with my granddaughter. As we walked out together, Sophie between Beckett and me, Angelina following with the drawings, I felt Jolie's presence. She'd given us so much more than money. She'd given us the courage to rewrite our story. Ready for our next adventure? I asked Sophie. She grabbed my hand, then reached for Angelina's. Ready! And just like that, the wounds of the past began to heal, one small hand at a time. The autumn breeze carried the sound of laughter from the backyard as I finished arranging cookies on a platter. Through the kitchen window, I watched Sophie chasing her rescue puppy, Max, while Diana's and Marcus's kids took turns on the new swing set. Need help? Angelina appeared beside me, reaching for the lemonade pitcher. Thanks. I nodded toward the yard. Hard to believe this is the same family that nearly imploded a few months ago. Jolie would have loved this, she said softly, arranging glasses on a tray. All these children, all this joy. The doorbell rang. Ruby arrived with the final paperwork for the Thornton Wilkinson Foundation's first major project, a support center for adoptive families. Everything's approved, she announced, spreading the documents on the kitchen counter. Construction starts next month. Perfect timing. I signed where indicated. The inheritance money should be released from escrow tomorrow. Angelina peered at the plans. The playground design looks wonderful, though perhaps we could add... Mother, I warned playfully. Remember our agreement about backseat driving? She laughed, holding up her hands in surrender. Old habits die hard, but I'm learning. Sophie burst through the back door, Max at her heels. Mom, Grandma, Uncle Marcus is trying to fit on the kiddie swing. This, I have to see. Angelina grabbed her phone, hurrying outside. Mom, Sophie tugged my sleeve. Can I show everyone my special project now? I nodded. The project, a family photo wall she'd been working on for weeks, was her pride and joy. Everyone inside, she called out. Family meeting. They filtered in. Beckett, Diana, Marcus, looking slightly embarrassed. Their spouses and children, Angelina and Ruby. Sophie led them to the living room where a sheet covered one wall. Ready? She gripped the sheet, practically bouncing with excitement. Ready! The cousins chorused. She pulled the sheet down, revealing dozens of framed photos. There was Jolie in her hospital bed, smiling despite her illness. Beckett and me with Sophie at the shelter, adopting Max. Diana's daughter teaching Sophie to ride a bike, Marcus pushing all the kids on the swings, Angelina baking cookies with Sophie and her cousins. But the centerpiece was different. A large drawing Sophie had made. It showed all of us, including a smiling angel that looked suspiciously like Jolie, watching from above. "See?" Sophie pointed proudly. "This is our real family, not the one in those stuffy old portraits Grandma used to have." Angelina wrapped an arm around her granddaughter. "You're absolutely right, sweetheart. This is much better than those old portraits." "There's room for more," Sophie announced, "for when our family gets bigger." "Bigger?" Beckett raised an eyebrow at me. I smiled, touching the envelope in my pocket, the one from the adoption agency about a sibling group of 2 who needed a home. "Well, actually." "Really?" Sophie's eyes widened. "More brothers or sisters?" "If everyone's okay with that," I looked at Angelina questioningly. She wiped away tears. "I'll start baby-proofing the beach house immediately." "Group hug!" Sophie declared, and suddenly we were all tangled together, laughing and crying. Ruby snapped a photo. "This one's definitely going on the wall." Later, as everyone enjoyed cookies in the backyard, Beckett found me in the kitchen. "Happy?" he asked, wrapping his arms around me. "Look out there," I nodded toward our family. "Angelina's teaching the kids some ridiculous society dance. Diana and Marcus are arguing about who gets to host Thanksgiving. Sophie's plotting to convince us to adopt every child and animal she meets. It's chaos." "Perfect chaos," he agreed. "You know what Jolie told me that last day in the hospital?" I turned to face him. "She said sometimes you have to break something completely to rebuild it stronger. She wasn't trying to destroy your mother's perfect family. She was making room for a real one." "Mission accomplished," he kissed my forehead. A shriek of laughter drew our attention back outside. Angelina was now attempting to teach the foxtrot to Max, who seemed more interested in chasing his tail. "Mom, Dad," Sophie called. "Come quick! Grandma's dancing with the dog." We joined our family in the yard, under the warm sun and cool breeze, surrounded by the kind of love that no society rules or family reputation could contain. On Sophie's wall, Jolie smiled down at us all, her final gift still unfolding, the gift of choosing love over appearance, truth over pretense, and the messy beauty of real family over the cold perfection of false ones. "Ready for more chaos?" I whispered to Beckett, thinking of those 2 siblings waiting for a home. He squeezed my hand. "With this family? Always." And in that moment, watching Sophie teach her cousins her own version of a society dance, which mostly involved spinning in circles until you fell down, I knew that sometimes the happiest endings don't come from maintaining perfect order, but from embracing perfect chaos.